Children, today we are going to start your new chapter, chapter 1, the tiny teacher. What do you mean by teacher? A teacher is who teaches you something or giving you a moral or correct you every time. That is called teacher. Today the chapter is the tiny teachers. The tiny teacher, who is tiny teacher? So, the tiny teacher itself depicts the dedication of the smallest creature towards their duty assigned them to perform in a very sincere way. Being the hardworking and intelligent creature, they perform their duty in the form of cleaners, nurses, workers, soldiers, and trainers. Now, you would ask, who is the tiny one? The tiny creature. The tiny creature, none other than but it's an ant. Ant which you can see in your home also. They perform their duties the form of cleaners, nurses, workers, soldiers and trainers. They lived in an ant hill having hundreds of little rooms and passage of all ants. The queen ant only lays eggs after his wedding flight with the drone. Though the life cycle of ant is egg, grub, cocoon, and ant. A perfect ant appears. Then a perfect ant appears. They learn their duties from old ant and ready to survive in the world of work like cleaners, nurses, workers, soldiers, and trainers. They also allow other creatures to live in their anthill to get pleasant smell, sweet juice, and playthings. People should learn many qualities from this wisest creature: hard work, sense of duty and discipline, loyalty towards their country. In this chapter, you can find ants are tiny creature. They are big teachers. Humans can learn hard work, duty and discipline, cleanliness, caring for our young ones, and firm loyalty to the land from them. By working intelligently and bravely like them and behaving in a non interfering way, we can we too can live a peaceful life. So, let's start this chapter. Name the smallest insect you have seen and the wisest. Is it the fly? No, it isn't. Is it a mosquito? No, not the mosquito. Then it must be the worm. No, none of these. It is the ant, the commonmost, the smallest but the wisest insect. The story of an ant's life sounds almost untrue, but people have kept ants as pets and have watched their daily behavior closely. So we know a number of facts about this tiny, hardworking, and intelligent creature. In this lesson, the writer gives us a very vivid picture of an ant's life, about how sincere these little creatures are performing their everyday routine with proper devotion and honesty, right to the end of their lives. In this paragraph, we can find there are so many insects buzzing around us all the day, but we hardly pray, pay attention to them. If we were to make a judgment about the insect and who is the wisest species, Some would say that it is a fly, some would call the mosquitoes to be the wisest, while others would that the worms are the wisest of these creatures, small creature. As a matter of fact, none of the above are as smart and wise as the common little ant. Though they are very tiny, yet they are very intelligent and hardworking. The most common one that we find in our houses are the black or the red ones. These little creatures are remarkable little things which handled to their study of the behavior at various levels, which had eventually given us humans a detailed insight in the behavior of these tiny creatures. Let's move to the next paragraph. An ant uses its feelers or antennas to talk to other ants by passing message through them. Watch a row of ants moving up or down the wall. Each ant greets all the other coming from the opposite direction by touching their feelers. As far as their physical appearance is concerned, these creatures have a very unique way of communicating with, with each other. Instead of producing sounds, they communicate with a small antenna on their heads. We can also call these antennas fillers. As the name antenna suggests, likewise the small ants receive signals through these antennas from other ants or sounds of the outside world and respond in addition to that signal. They talk by giving out message by touching each other's antennas. One can easily see this gesture of greeting among them when they are going about their daily work, climbing the wall up and down in a row. Each and every other ant greets the one coming from the opposite direction by touching each other's antennas. Now let's move to the third paragraph. There are many kinds of ants. The commonmost among them are the black or red ones. We have seen them since we are children, but haven't paid enough attention to them. Where do they live? In their comfortable homes called a nest or ant hills. Each has hundreds of little rooms and passages. In some of these rooms, the queen ant lays eggs. Other, Others are nurseries for the young ones called grubs. Workers have their reserved quarters. They spend most of their time searching for food. Some rooms serve as storehouse for this food. Soldiers have separate barracks. No worker has ever tried to live in a soldier's house. No soldiers has ever gone out the searching for food. No worker or soldiers or cleaner has ever harmed a grub. So you see, an ant's life is very peaceful. Each does its share of work intelligently and bravery and never fights with other members of the group. Now in third stanza there is a detailed study of ants and their nests. The writer goes on further to give us an even more detailed picture of an ant's life and their cycle of birth and ants how the small eggs turn into ants in due course of time. There are so many kinds of ants, but the most common one that we mostly come across are the black or the red ones. These ants are so common in our own houses we can find that we hardly pay attention to them and about the daily routine of these little insects. We hardly pay attention where they live. These ants make very small hills like uh, sh- um, you can see and beneath these hills are the nest where those are different kind of the chambers for different purpose. These different rooms or chambers are allotted to ants according to their duties. In some rooms the queen and lays eggs. Other chambers are nurseries for the young ones called grubs. Though all ants seem to be doing the same work, but actually it is not so. They might appear to be doing the same work, but everyone has a specific kind of work assigned to it. Most of the ants spend time searching of food. A large number of ants are assigned to this work, who are engaged in the work of collecting food and storing it in special made out chambers beneath the ants' hill. These are separate ants who are considered as the soldiers. Their duties is to keep the queen ant and the nest safe from an outside danger. These soldiers' ants have different rooms to live in. Their duty is only to keep the nest safe. They never they never go out in search of food. To our human eyes it seems that all ants are same, doing each other's jobs, but it is not so. Special jobs are allotted to certain groups of ants, which they obey and do with great commitment. This kind of discipline offers much to us humans to learn and work from these tiny creatures. Though there are different groups of ants doing different works in the same place, they never interfere with each other's work. They work with intelligence and bravery, never crossing each other's path or a single occasion. These ants are peace-loving creatures, giving us all message as to how great goals can easily be achieved if peacefully in collaboration with each other. Now let's move to the next part of the before starting the second part of the story, we can solve this comprehension check. The story of Anne's life sound almost untrue. So, Italiastic. The story of Anne's life sound almost untrue. The italicized phrase means highly exaggerated, too remarkable to be true, not based on fact. So here we have to write the answer. The italicized phrase means too remarkable to be true. So here we put the tick. The second option is correct. Too remarkable to be true. Now next, complete the following sentences. An ant is the smallest Now here we are going to write the commonest commonest but the wisest insect. But the wisest insect. An ant is the smallest, the commonest, but the wisest insect. Now let's move to the second question. We know a number of facts about an ant's life because we have watched their daily behavior closely. We have watched because we have watched their daily behavior closely. We know a number of facts about an ant's life because we have watched their daily behavior closely. Now let's move to the second part of the story. In what ways in an ant's life peaceful? Now here we have to give the answer before going to the second part of the story. We have to give the answer of this question. Ants life Ants live together in peace and harmony. They do their own work and do not interfere in the others' work. They never fight with others, ants of the same group. So their life is peaceful. In what ways is an ant's life peaceful? Because they are not interfering to others' work, or they live together in peace and harmony. That's why their lives are peaceful. Now let's move to the second part of this chapter. The queen ant has a pair of wings which she casts off before she begins to lay eggs. Eggs hatch and becomes grubs. Grubs changing into cocoons and cocoons break to bring forth complete ants. The life of an ordinary ant in the ant hill is a book which many of us seldom open. Now let's move to the next paragraph. The queen is the mother of the entire population of the colony. It lives for about 15 years. It has a pair of wings but bites them off after his wedding flight. The flight takes place on a hot summer day. The queen leaves and nests and goes out to meet a male ant or drone high up in the air. On its return to earth, it gets rid of its wing and then does nothing but lays egg. Now in this stanza you can find the life of the queen ant. The largest or longest living ant in the entire colony of ants is the queen ant. It is also considered as the mother of all the ants of its colony because it is the queen which has lived the largest or longest duration and in the due course of time laid eggs. or given birth to all the ants, who are now serving under her command. The queen, in the beginning, has wings on the back, which she bites off after meeting a male ant known as drone. Both fly up in the air, and after coming back to the ground, the only thing the queen does is to lay eggs. Next paragraph. Eggs hatch and grubs come out. Soldiers guard them, workers feed and clean them, and also carry them about daily for airing, exercise, and sunshine. 2 or 3 weeks later, grubs become cocoon and lie without food or activity for 3 weeks more. Then the cocoon break and perfect ants appear. Now it's time for teaching and training. New ants learn their duties from old ants as workers, soldiers, builders, cleaners, etc. After a few weeks training, the small ants are ready to go out into the big world of work. Now here we can see the egg hatch. When the egg hatch, small ants or the grubs come out, and soon the soldiers are on their duty of protecting them. Each group of ants gets very active in order to play its part in nurturing the young ones. The other group, the workers group, feed and keep the young ones clean. Their duty is to carry out the young ones out for fresh air, exercise, sunshine. After a period of 2 3 weeks time, these little grubs turn into cocoon. Hence, there is no food and administrant anymore. The cocoon lay idle for 3 weeks, and after this time period, the cocoons break and ant appears. Here is totally new army of ants have come up. The young ants are now ready to be trained by the older ones to take up different jobs of cleaners, soldiers, builders. Slowly, when their training in their respective fields is complete, they are allowed to move out into the world to do their respective work. Now let's move to the next para. An ant hill is a home not only for ants but also for some other creatures, beetles, lesser breeds of ants, and greenfly. Why do ants want these alien creatures to live in their nest? For several reasons. Some gives off smell pleasant to the ants' senses. Other give sweet juices, and some are just pets or playthings like cats and dogs to human beings. The green fly is the ant's cow. The ant train it to give honeydew like milk with the touch of their antennas. They milk in just as we milk the cow. Ants are such creature that allows others insect to occupy their house. The ant hills give shelter to insects such as beetles, other species of ants, and green flies. The ants have reason in doing so because these alien insects give out sweet smell. For the ants, some give out sweet juices which are liked by the ants. The green fly is especially important for the ants because it spurks honeydew from the outside, which the ants take from it peacefully by just touching their antennas. They take away the honey dew just as we humans take milk from the cows. Now, the last paragraph. Have humans learned as much as ants have? Perhaps they have, but they haven't put their learning to good use. They may still learn a few things from this tiny teacher: hard work, sense of duty and discipline, cleanliness, care for young ones, and above all, a firm loyalty to the land where they live. In the last para, the writer sums up how the tiny creature are such good teacher to humans. Though we had studied a lot about these ants, we had done much studies on these creatures, but in fact, we have really learnt very little from them. Or whatever we have learned, we have failed to put in practice in our daily lives. These little creatures challenge us to learn so much more than from them. So many simple things such as hard work, discipline, cleanliness, care for others, being good parents, loyalty and honesty towards one, work and discipline in one's life, and above all, devotion and loyalty towards the land which has given us so much and help us become what we are today. As a students, we can learn hard work, sense of duty, and loyalty from this tiny teacher. Hard work makes the life of an ant so organized and disciplined. If we want to lead a proper life, we must not shy away from working hard. Sense of duty is very important because if everyone does his or her work sincerely, there will be no chaos. The most important is loyalty to the land where our lives are. We must be always loyal to our people and our country. We can summarize this chapter. The ant, being a smallest insect, is an intelligent and hard-working creature. And as it is the commonest insect, we know a number of facts about it. An ant has feelers, which is also called antennas, and it uses them to talk and greet others ants while moving up and down the wall. The black or red ones are the commonest among them. They live in their comfortable homes, generally called nests or ant hills, just below the surface of the soil. Each ant hills has hundreds of little rooms and passages. The queen ant lays eggs in some of these rooms. Other rooms are nurseries, stores, reserve quarters, and separate barracks, etc. Ants, ants of each category carry their duties sincerely without disturbing the others. This is the reason why the ants enjoy a peaceful life. The queen ant is the mother of entire population of the colony. Its lifespan is about 15 years. After wedding flight with a male and drone on a hot summer day, it's come back to the earth without wings to lay eggs. In a few days, grubs come out of the eggs. Soldiers ants guard them, while worker ants feed them and help them in growing up. After 2 or 3 weeks, grubs become cocoons, which then break and perfect ants appear. New ants are taught and trained by old ants. After a few weeks training, the small ants become ready to work. An anthill is also the home of other creatures like beetles, laser breed of ants, and the greenfly. The ants gives them shelter because they get sweet juices and pleasant smell from them. The greenfly is the ants' cow. The ants give training to them to give honeydew with a touch of their antennas. Man can learn hard work, sense of duty and discipline, cleanliness, care for the young ones from it. After the discussion and explanation of the chapter, I would like to show a animated film on ant. I hope you will enjoy it.